All right, guys, welcome back. This is day 4 of the service on the 360. I kind of wanted to go over something here. I really didn't explain it very well in the last video, if you watched, on the frequency on the belts and how you get that number or whatever. So what you want to do, and I use the Easy Tension app on my phone, and once you get this torqued up and ran through, you want to strum this section here between here and here, like somewhere in the middle. You'll get a frequency for that one, and then from here to here you'll get another frequency, and both of those added together should come anywhere between like 190 to 220 megahertz. So you want to do the same thing for both sides. Like I said, you want a little bit of a gap right here, 1.9 to 2.23, I think, millimeters. That's looking good there. So don't forget to torque this to 49 newton meters, or like 36 foot-pounds, because that's important. So you want to make sure that's torqued, run it through a couple times, recheck it, and then make sure your lines line up here. But as I see right now, this is definitely better than it was before when it came in. Like I said, you can hear the little tune, the frequency it's giving off. So I think we're good here, and we're going to go ahead and stick the spark plugs back in, put the coils back in today, and then maybe install the transmission mount. So we're going to go ahead and leave this area for right now, because like I said, we're done, and proceed on. All right, so we're going to go ahead and proceed on, and going to install the spark plugs, okay? So we've got some NGK here, PMR8A spark plugs here. They should be pre-gapped to 0.6, 0.7. I checked it with this gauge here. It's within that limit. I'm not going to check the rest of them. They should be pre-gapped from the factory. I would not get too crazy with these, because the sensor, or the little electrode there, is very fragile. So you may crack it, and then the plug's no good. So I really wouldn't check the gap. I mean, I'd check one maybe. I wouldn't check them all, because you have a chance of cracking the insulator. So we're going to go ahead and put those in. We're going to go ahead and put some lube on there. We're going to put this Champion spark plug lube for the threads. We're going to put that on there. And then, like, here's the manual. The spark plug torque is 9.8 newton meters, or 7.2 foot-pounds, or 6 inch-pounds. It's really light. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and install all these. Going to pre-lube those and get them installed and torqued up, and then put the coils in. Another note is, when you're installing the lubricant on the threads, try not to get it on the electrode, because it'll foul it out. So you can maybe stay like a thread back. It's not really going to make that big of a difference, but just don't get it on the electrode, because like I said, it may foul the plug out, so you don't want to do that. All right, so we've got all the plugs lubed, and now it's ready to install. All right, earlier I said it was 7.2 foot-pounds, and I meant to say it was 85 inch-pounds on the spark plug torque, or 9.8 newton meters. So right here's the factory, 9.8, 7.2 foot-pounds, or not 85 inch-pounds. So I've got my torque wrench set to 85 inch-pounds, and we're going to go ahead and torque the first set of plugs. All right, so we're getting ready. We got the plugs installed, torqued up. So we're going to put the coils on now, and I bought some dielectric grease here, and we're going to go ahead and install that and put a little bit inside the boot here, so that it doesn't stick to the plug. So in the future, when you go to pull it off, it'll make it easier, hopefully. So we're going to go ahead and put a little dab inside each one of these, and then install the coils. All right, so we've got our coils installed now. Our connectors all hooked up on both sides. So we've got all that stuff hooked up. We're going to go ahead and clean the end of the head here, so we can put these caps back on. So we're going to clean the old sealant off there and the other portion, and then we'll reinstall those. So that's where we're at right now. All right, so we're getting ready to install these caps on the end of the valve covers where you check your timing marks. They're all cleaned up. Here's your gaskets. As you can see, it actually has a sealing material here, like it's almost like silicone. I like to actually give it a little extra. I know sometimes you'll see these installed with nothing, but these tend to leak quite a bit. So I like to use an anaerobic gasket maker here. It's made by Permatex. It's called Hylamar at times. This is easy to remove and install. It's easier than RTV. So if you have to like take this off in the future, RTV can get kind of messy and difficult to remove. This stuff here removes a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. I've used this in the past on all the other Ferrari projects I've used or have done. So I'm going to do that, put this on both sides, and then install these plates. I'm going to do the same thing over here. As you can see, these are all cleaned up also. They're nice and clean. If by chance you install new gaskets under your valve covers, you need to trim those flush where the splits are, or that'll create a leak. So make sure those are nice and flush. If you changed those gaskets, we didn't take the valve covers off. They really weren't leaking. I know they're staying like that, but that is just, you know, it's coming from other areas. So that's, the valve covers didn't seem to be leaking, so we didn't mess with them. So we're going to go ahead and put these gaskets on. Like I said, make sure they're nice and clean so they seal properly. All right, so like I said, I applied Hylamar on here. Very thin layer, goes a long way. You don't want to go crazy with any kind of sealant. A lot of times I see, especially with RTV, too much used. Very little. You just need very little, like a thin layer of Hylamar on there. And then we'll put this down here, and then just apply another thin layer on top, and then install on the car. Like I said, if you have the factory gaskets like these are, really sealant material is not required, but like I said, they'll end up leaking. So I like to give it a little extra protection with this. And like I said, this stuff is easy to remove when it comes time to remove that or do the belts or whatever you're doing again. And also this stuff here, it's not like other sealant, especially like RTV. If I put a lot of RTV in here and it spooges out all over in here and it makes like a bead in here, and then that breaks loose in the motor, that may cause an issue. I mean, it may clog an oil passage or something, which I've seen a lot of them. It's way too much RTV people use. So like I said, very thin layer of this. So when you're installing that, I recommend doing it that way. But I'm going to go ahead and put some more Hylamar on this side and then install them on the car. All right, so we've got our covers on now. Everything is snugged up. Make sure when you have your bracket here that this lines up so it secures it in the proper position. So I cleaned it up. Make sure you have everything cleaned up, snugged up, both sides. You can see, like I said, the bracket. Make sure that notch, like I said, is in the correct position, and everything's tight. So we're done with that. Like I said, the plugs are in, the coils are in, the timing is all done. So we're going to go ahead and move on. So we're going to end today, and we'll probably be back tomorrow. So stay tuned and see what goes on.